Um, Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Tonsger, and I'm the marketing coordinator for TravelNet Solutions. Today, we have a great presentation in store for everyone from Doug Kennedy of the Kennedy Training Network. TravelNet Solutions is an integrated software and solution provider for the hospitality industry. We provide track hospitality software, resortsandlodges.com, and services including metasearch marketing, pay-per-click, SEO, website development, and email marketing. Doug has been a regular contributor to the hotel and lodging industry's most prominent publications since 1996, and we're excited for him to be able to share more than 2 decades of industry experience with all of you. Today's webinar will be about effectively using chat to capture more sales. So without further ado, here's Doug Kennedy.
All right, thank you very much, Jay. Great to be with everyone today. Thank you for my repeat attendees. I almost said repeat offenders. I didn't mean that. Thank you for joining me on this series. This is actually our 3rd year, I believe, Jay, of doing our private webinar series for TravelNet Solutions. The track and resorts and lodges clients are exclusive to this. I've actually been in the business for 30 years. I'm actually completing my 30th year, so I put this slide of, you can see me aging over the years as I've enjoyed a fantastic career in doing training with 3 different companies that I've started. My most recent one is Kennedy Training Network. So today is the most important webinar because it's today. And I always say in the training, you know, we're only as good as our latest effort. If you work at a hotel, your hotel is only as good as the impression of the last guest departing. If you work in reservations, your reputation is only as good as the impression of the last caller who hung up that phone. And when it comes to chat, it's the impression of the last guest that you just chatted with. So some people might be wondering why we would be doing a separate webinar on this topic, but I really like to encourage people to view chat as being a separate way of connecting with our guests. So a lot of you are on the track system and you have track chat. If you're not, I'm sure we'd be glad to talk to you about getting on that system. Perhaps a few of you might even have other chat tools, or maybe you're attending today to think about jumping into the venture of chat. So I want to address the whole concept first of why is it that a guest reaches out to chat versus a phone call. Maybe they want to be the anonymous person. This always reminds me of years ago, before the New Orleans Saints had won the Super Bowl with Drew Brees. They were the New Orleans Aints, and they were so bad their fans actually wore paper bags over their heads, if anybody remembers back that far when I saw this image. But some people think that it's a sense of anonymity. You know, some people think that there's actually a chat customer that is different from a voice customer. One, I think, misguided concept that a lot of people have today is that there's this thing called a millennial, and the millennial is a different creature than another human being. And that is such an overused concept. I don't want to offend any marketing professionals here. You know, it is the Strauss theory of generational differences started out when they labeled the baby boomer generation, because after World War II, all the soldiers came back, and the WACs too, because we had Women's Air Corps, and they started having babies, and we had actually a boom in babies, thus the baby boom generation. But I guess they continued on with this generational theory, and they labeled Gen X, and then millennials, and then of course Generation Z. So there is this thought that there's a chat-only customer that never wants to talk to anyone. I think that's a misnomer. I have 6 nieces and nephews that are millennials. All of them now are getting a little bit older. They're into their 30s. Actually, my oldest nephew is the first millennial, born in 1980. So now at this point, he's 39, okay? And when you get older and you have kids and you have issues, you have elderly parents, you have food allergies, you know, a lot of times you're going to call, or when you're spending a lot of money to bring your family on a vacation. So I think that, and then the youngest children, the Generation Z, or the is what a lot of people are referring to them now, which is my children's age, starting in 1997, the year my daughter was born, is the youngest generation. So if you believe in the Strauss generational theory, the next generation up actually prefers video communication. They're always talking to their friends on FaceTime or live videos on WhatsApp or as Facebook Messenger. So I don't think it's a separate customer. I think people of all ages use chat. I think that it's more based on the situation rather than the stereotype that, oh, millennials never want to call, they only want to chat. So I really hope to blow that out of the water today and get us thinking about chat in a new way, that it is really the same customer in a different situation or circumstance, okay? So when somebody is driving, they're not going to chat. And sometimes people might chat, but then call. And there is an interplay between voice and online. And so that really is part of my bigger message I've shared in this webinar series, if you've been with me since the start, is that there's not a guest that books online and never calls, or a guest that always calls and never books online. You know, there's a lot of older people, older than me, and still some of the great generation before. I'm the end of the baby boomer, by the way, born in the early 60s. But the great generation before me, actually, a lot of those people, my aunt, who's in her mid-80s, is very techno savvy. I always give a shout out to Aunt Tina on these webinars. So there's not a voice customer, an online booking customer, a chat customer. It's all the same customer in a different situation. And that's, I hope, your main takeaway today. So we're going to address how chat can help your lodging company provide better guest service and hospitality and capture more bookings, okay? We can use it for both. So let's go to get right into the content then. By the way, if you have not done so, you might want to enlarge the webcam view on your computer that you're watching me on, and enlarge it, because I'm not doing a screen share. I'm just doing everything on the webcam today. All right. So we want to identify the story behind the chat. Okay. Now, a lot of people use chat to click over very basic questions about either servicing an existing reservation or to make a special request. And that's one way, with our operational hat as a operations manager, or the side of the part of the job of working in reservations of servicing, and then the sales job are really two separate tasks we have in reservations today. With our service hat on, we love chat because we can let that chat window hang open for a few minutes. Some of us are very good at multitasking and being on a phone call and answering a quick question. So we want to encourage people to chat over their questions. It's actually better for us than a phone call because it takes less time and we have a little more flexibility to do two things at once. So, you know, you get a lot of quick questions. People, I actually see this because I look at the chat logs. You know, a lot of what I do is actually go on site and present training for hotels, resorts, vacation rental companies, call centers. Some of you today are on the call that are my clients that have done that. When I go out there, if the client wants me to address chat, I look at their actual chat log. And I see a lot of this nature of questions. My spouse is arriving early, or are they going to be able to check in? Or my sister, or my cousin, or whoever's traveling with me, if it's a resort stay. Do you have a crib for my baby? What kind of crib is it? They want to know, is it a 1990s crib that the slats are too wide? Or is it more of a pack and play? How much are you going to put on my credit card if I make this reservation online? Okay, it probably says that on the online system, but of course we know they don't always read this. So are you going to charge me for the whole thing? Questions about payment, cancellation, all of those issues. Now, here's one. Let's see if anybody can relate to this one. Now, I know you don't take pets. Can I please bring my dog? I see online you don't take pets, but my dog is special. He's very cute and cuddly. He never barks. He doesn't shed, and he has no fleas. Okay, and here's a picture of my well-behaved, cute dog. Okay, nothing against German Shepherds. They're a wonderful breed. Okay, but most of you have, if you allow pets, you have the weight restrictions, maybe 10, 20, 30 pounds. You know, he's a nice boy there, 50 pounds, okay? My wife has a dog like that, had a dog like that on the family farm. Max, wonderful, wonderful dog, but we don't take German Shepherds that are 50 pounds, okay? So a lot of times they're gonna chat over questions, okay? But then on the other side of this, we have guests who use chat to click over very in-depth questions prior to making a buying decision, okay? So when I look at chat logs, I see a lot of questions like these. Can you recommend a good accommodation You know, I went online, I saw a bunch of room types, or if you're a vacation rental company, I went online and I saw a bunch of different homes or condos, or if you're a resort, I went online and all these packages and I'm confused. What do you recommend for honeymooners? Is this a good choice for families? What's the difference between the standard and the premium categories? These are open questions. These are not appropriate just for chat dialogue if we can help it. You know, some people say, what's the difference between standard and premium? $50 more. Okay. Or the garden view looks over the garden, and the ocean view, it looks over the ocean. That doesn't really help them. Okay. So if we identify and pay attention, not just to answering the questions, but we step back and think, what is the story behind this person's inquiry? Okay. Sometimes if we identify the story behind the chat inquiry, we can then identify the best medium. Okay, so do we take 50-pound German Shepherds, even if they're cute, cuddly, have no fleas and never bark? No, that's a chat question. Do you have a crib? Yes, we do. It's a pack and play crib. It'll be in your room when you arrive. Okay, but if you get questions such as more in depth, chat is a great medium for these quick questions that are direct and to the point. It saves time for other phone calls. It saves time for both parties. So if it's a quick question that's available for chat, we're going to answer it in chat. So let's talk about that first, and then we're going to talk about how to turn chat to redirect it to the voice medium for people that are sales opportunities. Okay? Hope you're with me so far. So even if we're fielding questions through chat, we need to make sure as reservation salespeople that we know the difference between chatting with a guest and chatting with our friends, okay? Now, even, again, leaders sometimes need reminded of this. If I'm texting my son, who's 19, or my wife, or if I'm texting my Aunt Tita, because she does text at 85, you know, someone that I know, I'm going to be kind of brief. I might use more emoticons. I might use LOL. I might use things like that, and I'm just going to pretty much just text over, you know, abbreviated sentences. However, when we're chatting with the guests, we want to also be first impression makers. Okay, so we want to take a little bit more fluff to this, and so we want to, even in chat exchanges, we can very easily rehumanize and make this a more personal connection through chat. Because I want us to remember that we're in the experience business, not the room rental business, not the unit rental business in vacation rental, okay? And if you want to be renting units or renting rooms, our industry will soon be replaced through apps and online booking, and we won't even have the people that have these jobs today, okay? That is the commoditization of our industry. Some companies are moving that direction. But if you're investing in resorts and lodges to get direct calls and bookings, if you're investing in Track to get engagement with your callers, follow up with email, and also offering chat, you recognize the era today, which is, to me, is always, if you've been with me before, I use this picture a lot. Sorry, did I click through it too quick here? I guess it's coming up. Sorry, I think I turned the page too quickly here. A picture of technology meets human, and that's what we want to do, okay? We want to engage people in human connections, all right? So a few reminders to rehumanize chat. I'll show you that picture in a minute, I promise. We want to be able to reach through and make a connection. Really, this picture says it all as well. That must have been why I picked that image for this. So use pleasantries when you're engaging people in chat, okay? And then paraphrase and restate something that you heard, something that you learned about their situation, rather than simply clicking back a reply. Comment on what they just shared, okay? So sometimes people share a lot of details in chat, which is very interesting to me that they actually take so much time to share and reveal their stories. Some of them self-reveal. I'll give you an example. I may have talked about this on other webinars, so forgive me, but it is such a good example of a missed opportunity. I was working with a one-time client I have in San Diego. I want to mention it was a one-time client because I work with a lot of clients that use us multiple times a year, and it was not one of them. And this client asked me to come out, do an assessment of their operations. So it was more of a assessment slash consulting. And I looked at their chat log, and there was somebody that chatted over, this was a resort hotel, and they chatted over, it was pretty much summed up by this: hello, our daughter has been deployed for 10 months or something in the Navy, in the United States Navy. She's been in Korea, I think specifically, South Korea. And she's coming home on leave, and we want to make this a special visit. And then they went on to have a question about the room category. And the reply was basically, oh, yes, that is correct about that room. That was all we chatted back. Now, there was no human touch there. We might as well have been a chat bot. Okay, they are inventing chat bots now in Silicon Valley that can answer that question. I'm sure if you ever try to get in touch with your power company, your cable company, everybody, I just tried to go to my power company, my Florida Power and Light, FP&L, and it was impossible to find somebody, even to chat. I had to actually dig pretty deep to get in touch with someone with the issue that I needed. That's what a chatbot can do, but that's not what we want to do. We want to reply. So I'm going to give you some examples. Somebody says, hello, we're taking the grandkids to the beach. Are there lifeguards at your beach? Okay, if you're a beach resort, you know what I'm talking about. You're going to get this question a lot, okay? Or something similar. Instead of saying, yes, we have a lifeguard between 9 and 5. Okay, we want to say, how exciting. I'm sure they're going to have memories that'll last a lifetime. Okay, and there's a nearby beach that does have a lifeguard we can recommend for you. So instead of just saying, yes, there's a beach nearby that has a lifeguard, you know, take a couple extra seconds to personalize it. How long does it take to tap out an extra sentence? Hopefully, if you're on the chat team, you're a pretty fast typer, okay? Or if not, try Microsoft Voice to Text. I use it all the time. But that little extra effort, we're the first impression makers, and we're in the experience business. This is the hospitality business. This is not the unit rental business. This is not the room rental business, okay? We can actually personalize our connections. Somebody might chat over, hi, it's our 25th anniversary. I'm bringing my wife there. Do you have a local florist I can have some flowers delivered? Yes, we do. Here's the phone number. That's what a lot of people chat back, okay? But we say, wow, 25 years, that's fantastic. I've only been married for 8, so I know that's a big accomplishment. Yes, we can recommend, okay? And if you don't want to type that long, at least say 25 years, that's fantastic. Here's a florist. Do not say, here's a florist phone number. And you can make a human connection through chat. So even if it's an information only, okay? A lot of people are like, Doug, we don't have time for this. We don't have staff for this. This takes too long. Guess what? You used to have time. You used to have staff when people called in on the telephone to ask this question, right? And then we had to say, good afternoon. Thank you for calling Brand X Resort. How can I direct your call? Hello, I have a question. We had to have a whole conversation. Now, all I'm asking you to do is type one sentence. Tell me we can't staff for that. If you want to get as much business as everyone else gets, do what everyone else does and chat back. Yes, here's a number for a florist. Yes, there's a lifeguard. Okay, and we will watch our industry erode away into a commodity that will be all based on price and a race to the bottom. Okay, but if you want this industry to survive and to move on, take the direction of personalization. Take the direction of hospitality. Take a minute to type a few extra sentences. Okay, even if it's a question. Here's that picture. I love this picture. This shows the human hand versus technology. And we want to reach out and make a connection through chat. Okay. So now, when it comes to web surfing sales prospects, this is a different animal. Okay. Previously, when they just have a question, I want you to add a sentence or two to personalize it. Okay. But that's already, you already have that sale. They're already staying with you. This example is looking at chat as a revenue opportunity to grab a web surfer, okay? Because most of us are smart enough to know we would rather get a direct booking than a third-party booking. Now, it's a referral site like Resorts and Lodges, which is fantastic to refer you direct bookings. But I'm talking about OTAs, Expedia, Booking.com, Hotels.com, Hotwire, all these others. We want to get that booking directly. And when they're surfing online and we can make a connection, that's what we want to think about, okay? So all of these sites here that we've just named, today our guests have more choices than ever before, okay? And so a lot of times people will be shopping on these OTAs, okay? And they charge hefty fees and they increase our distribution costs. So we love these sites, okay, when they find us a new guest, but if that guest sees us there and then looks us up directly and calls us or chats, we want to make it a direct booking, because these sites are slowly but surely eroding business away, profit away from the lodging industry, okay? So we need to use them when we have to. But if we can convert a guest directly, it is much better for all parties, except for the OTAs. But don't worry, they're making plenty of money, okay? So in-depth pre-booking questions often come in through chat before they've made a reservation. So they're online, they're searching. Now, why else do people chat? First of all, they think it might be quicker. They don't want to wait on hold. The box pops up, they give it a try, okay? Now, sometimes they can't do a phone call, but a lot of times they can. So I want us to try to close more direct bookings by redirecting, at least trying to redirect the caller to voice, okay? So we might try to say, hey, are you by a phone? And they might say, no, I'm at my kid's ballet class or piano recital. Hopefully they won't say I'm driving. That probably happens too. But if we can try to make a connection, we have some advantages. I hope you agree with that. If we could turn a chat into a phone call, we make a human connection. We also can sense the reaction to what we're saying. We can make human connections and create positive first impressions, okay? So if you ask me, if we have a sales inquiry that starts out in chat, okay, then we have a lot better chance to make a discovery of the story behind the call, and we can actually make a human connection, okay? So what I want us to do is when somebody says an in-depth sales-related question, I want us to say, you know what, that is a great question. Are you by chance by a phone? I can give you a quick call, okay? I recently had this happen with, I use the GoToMeeting. Actually, TrackPulse uses GoToWebinar. I'm sorry, TravelNet uses GoToWebinar for these, which is the mass audience version. I use GoToMeeting, another LogMeIn company, and they changed the billing plans, and it was very confusing to me. So I started off on chat, and I guess they sensed I was frustrated. I said, you know, this is really very confusing. And the chatter said, are you by a phone? I'll call you right now. And then I turned from a frustrated, confused customer into a very happy, raving fan because we were able to resolve it. A nice person called me immediately, okay? So at least try. They might say, no, I'm driving, chatting while driving. They might say, you know, I'm at my kid's swim class right now, and I can't really hear you here, okay? But they might say, sure, that's fine, okay? So when it becomes clear during the chat message that a guest either has this first one here, that they have in-depth questions, you just say, that's a great question. Are you by chance by a phone that I can give you a quick call? And you turn it into a chat. Also, if it becomes the guest is unhappy, all right? So that's what happened to me with the LogMeIn GoToMeeting call when the guest seems unhappy and they start saying, well, that doesn't make sense, or that doesn't seem fair. That's not what I was told when I called. Just say, are you by chance by a phone? Let me give you a quick call and work this out. I'm sure you've all had a situation where you're emailing back and forth, either in business or even in our personal life. And you're emailing back and forth and you're getting all aggravated. There's a lot of tension. And you know what? You say, let me just call this person. And then you have a wonderful conversation. Okay. So besides sales, when you're having those other customer service inquiry question type chats and you sense she's becoming frustrated, just say, you know what, are you by a phone? Let me give you a quick call to just go over these options. And you can redirect it to voice. Okay. So when chat guests are happy, it's much easier, are unhappy, it's much easier and less confusing to explain those policies and procedures by phone. Okay. All right. So I truly hope that you will embrace chat, not just as a separate medium for a separate customer, that the stereotype is a millennial that doesn't like to talk to people because they're only always on their device, which is very unfair to millennials, and I think personally very untrue. And you're shortchanging your marketing effort if you think every person age 22 to 39 is exactly the same. Okay, it's no more than us baby boomers are exactly the same. But again, now I'm on my soapbox defending millennials, which I love millennials. But anyways, if you think a chat customer is a separate customer than a voice customer, I think we're selling short our marketing and distribution efforts. It is a customer just like any other. Okay, so think of those chat guests as a great way that's better for the guest and better for the operations to answer those quick questions about pets, check-in times, credit card deposits. But if you sense either A, it's an inquiry and they haven't booked yet, or B, that she's unhappy and getting frustrated. Hey, are you by phone right now? Let me give you a quick call. Or here's my direct line. You can call me. Okay. Now, the final thing that I wanted to address, it's a little bit related, but a lot of times I thought this was a good time to address this in this series of webinars. Sometimes when you get an involved conversation, now this speaks directly to vacation rentals where you have 100 properties and 100 different configurations. This speaks to resorts, non-traditional resorts, which is a lot of the resorts and lodges client base, where you have 25 rooms and there's 7 different room categories, and it gets confusing. Rather than redirecting the guest to go back online after the phone call and check it out, or rather than trying to coach them on the phone how to navigate your website, because that's confusing. Okay, I want us to think about using screen sharing tools to walk them through a tour. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But what I'm going for here is, how many of you have had the conversation? Oh, actually, there's a picture of this accommodation type online right now. Are you by a computer? Oh, yeah, I'm by a computer. Okay, go to our website, www. No, not that one. That's a resort in a different state. No, we're oceanfront properties, plural, not property. Sound familiar? And then you get them to your website. Okay, you see the little toolbar on the right? Click it. No, there, see it? Does this sound familiar? And you're trying to coach them through the website and they can't find it. I want you to think about a screen sharing tool. So you should play around with these. I highly recommend these when you have somebody, particularly that's a long stay, high rated room or vacation home, multiple properties or rooms, not enough to where they're going to go to a group salesperson, but let's say they want to book 3 rooms or 3 condos, or if you're online today from the Outer Banks, they're booking your $15,000 a week home. If you're online from Park City, they're booking your $15,000 a night home. I have clients there that sometimes the rates could be that high. When you're selling a high-end, a high-value rent in a vacation rental or a high-end guest. I have a client in St. Lucia. I saw a $148,000 booking. Okay, so that's where you want to say, are you by your computer right now and you want to try using screen sharing? If you've not played around with this, I challenge you to reach beyond just talking to people and actually share your screen through using join.me. They actually have a free version that you can use, have up to 5 people attend. And once you sign up for the free version, you just go to join.me. You start them, you have to join, and then you start a meeting, and then you give the code to the person you're talking to. They go to join.me and enter the code, and they see your screen. And then you can actually walk them through the tour of the vacation rental home, or walk them through the pictures that they want to see of the room and the view of the mountains, or whatever it is. Okay. So this is the future through personalization. Again, some people don't want to talk to guests. They want to push them all the way to doing everything online. They want to use a chatbot to replace the human touch. They want to service them solely and completely on an app, and they want to turn our industry into commoditization. If you want to be on the other side of this, personalized, human connection, authentic engagement. That's how customers are going to remember you. And they're going to not only rent this year, but they're going to come back and visit next time. All right. So I hope to inspire you in these webinar series. Today specifically to use chat, not only just to answer quick questions and continuing to chat, but when you recognize either an unhappy guest or somebody that's just not yet convinced, then we want to use that as a way to say, hey, are you by a phone? Let's talk. Okay. Or you know what? I can call you later today. You're not by a phone? I can call you tomorrow because I have track calls and I'll put it in my lead stream and I'll send you an email right now and I will give you a call tomorrow. Okay. That's how we fight for one more booking. And if we get one more booking per day, times 5 days a week, times 52 work weeks, do the math on that. We've done the math on that in previous webinars. So thank you for your time today. Shout out to TravelNet for providing this, and they actually pay me and sponsor this and do all the marketing to present these. I think it's a great value to give back to the industry, Jay, that you guys, and I hope to bring value to you for giving up. If you're on the East Coast, you just did lunch and learn with Doug maybe, and you're having a sandwich. If you're on the West Coast, maybe you're having your coffee like me, but I hope to have brought value, and I wish everybody a happy Tuesday. Great day to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Doug, and thanks to everyone who joined us today. If you have any questions or are interested in learning more about our company products and services, you can visit tnsinc.com or email us at marketing@resortsandlodges.com. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Doug.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jay.